Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers and this is Andy 255, and we are going to go ahead and start simulating. There's a couple things we need to do. We can get rid of our background image, so just get rid of that. And let's select everything, and if everything looks good, this is going to be our low poly. Now I could probably clean this up more, but I think my system can handle it. If it can't, then I'll probably have to go in and get rid of some of these edge loops that I don't need anymore. But as it stands right now, we'll just leave it as it is. We've got about 7,000 faces. It's not too bad for simulation. I think if we're under 20,000, I think we're pretty good. I've got my frames per second set up right now. So I'm going to select everything, and I am going to go ahead and delete by type history. Okay. And let's go ahead and freeze transformations. I think everything's frozen anyway. And that will clean everything up. And we're all in polygons now. So now's the time to go in here and rename everything, making sure that you have everything renamed and everything's clean. And I'm going to do that right now, and we'll come back in just a second. Okay, we're back, and it's really important you name everything appropriately. So I named this the base. This is pedestal 1, 2, 3, 4 in the nozzle. Then we've got platform 1, platform 2, platform 3, and platform 4. So we've got, if I go into Windows Outliner, everything looks pretty clean. The revolved surfaces, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save everything, and all I want left is my polygons, because I'm pretty happy with that. If I need to come back to all the revolved surfaces, I can, but I want to clean all this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to File, Save Scene As, and I'm going to call this 6. Do not touch. Alright, so that's got all my curves in it. I'm going to save that so I know I can come back to that if I need to. And so the rest of it is just, we'll just clean it up. I'm going to Outliner, and I'm going to bring all my platform and base and put all that together. I'm just clicking on it, middle mouse button, dragging it into one area here so I can get rid of the rest of it. The rest of it's pretty easy to get rid of, so I can just click everything in here that I don't need anymore. I'm going to keep that image plain. Okay, everything else I can get rid of. So everything down to here I can delete. So now we have a clean scene. I'm not going to clean my layers up right now because that would take some time, so I would take everything out of the layers, and I'll do that later. But that's what I would highly recommend that you do. Just clean all that stuff up, get rid of everything in there. I've got quite a bit in there. And just delete everything, and then you can put things in their own layers if you want to. But now we've got a pretty clean scene, and you're going to want to go ahead and save that out. And we'll do 7, and I'm going to type in start simulation. Okay. There we go. Start simulation. Great. So now I can come back to that if I need to. Alright. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a waterline level, because when we use legacy particles, what happens is they flow out and they won't puddle. They won't build on top of each other. They don't actually see each other. They see points, okay? But they don't see globules. They don't have a volume to them. So I'm going to have to put a water table on top here that goes all the way around, and I'll show you how to do that real quick. So that's the next thing we're going to do. Alright, so I want to create a disk, and I'm going to go to the front view again. We'll start with the bottom. It's not hard to do. It's very, very easy. We'll find the thickness that we want for sure. We want it pretty thin. Okay. And something like that would work just fine. Okay. We need to pop it in the middle, so let's go ahead and use the grid snap and the W key, and just kind of pop that where we need it to be, right in the middle of the scene. Make sure it is. And then we'll get back here again. I'm gonna hit the 4 key, and we want to just to the top. Now in here, let's go ahead and turn off grid snap. There we go. And we'll go ahead and scale it. Here we go. To about the size, and we need it to be about the same as the amount of rings we have here. And I can't remember, what did we do? Let's see. Did we do some dimensions? 20. Let's go to wireframe on shaded so we can see. Did I do 24 maybe? No. Let's go up a little higher. Whoops. To something like 36 maybe? That, nope, that's not it. Go to the top view and see what we got here. Let's do 30. We just need it to be close. I can't remember how many sections I had. And there we go, 32. Alright, that matches. Okay. So we want to, I'm going to hit the 4 key. We're just inside that water. We're just inside the wall. That's good. And we're just going to thin that out. I'm going to go to the side view. Okay, just thin that out like that. Okay. And move it to where you want the water. Something like that would be fine. So the water will splash onto that. So I'm going to do a Control D and move that up. And do the same thing. This will float right on the top of that. We'll take that, thin it out like that, and it'll float just to the top. So the particles we can't have the particles getting stuck at all on here. So we got to be very, very, very careful on that. Okay. Now this one's got a little different. We don't have as many up there. So we're going to have to change that, and we can't. So we're going to have to create a new disk for that. So let's go click off of there and click on it and delete it. We have to create a new disk, unfortunately. And bring it to the top here. Okay, like that. And let's go ahead and scale it up and thin it down. We want it right to the top. There we go. Okay. And we have too many subdivisions in there, I believe. Yeah. So that's got to be 16, I think. Yep, that's it. Alright, so with that, we have to scale it out so it flattens right to the top, just like that, so it doesn't go over. And we got to be very careful on thickness here, so thin that out. We want it just to the top. We want the particles to hit that and roll right off, just like it would if it was water there. Okay, alright, so that's good. And we'll do the same thing with this. Okay, that looks good. And hit the W key and do Control D and move that up to the next level. And there we go. And of course we'll scale that down to match the top of that. Just like that. That's good. And the thickness looks just about right. It needs to be right on top there. You do not want particles getting stuck up there. And let's go ahead and duplicate that. Control D. Move that up. And scale that one down just so it matches the top again. Here we go. Hit the F key. And let's move that one up. Okay, that looks good. Perfect. One last one. Control D. And move that up. And scale that in. Zoom that up. There we go. Okay, I think we got it. Right, all those guys will be a water line. So I'm gonna name this base water. Tier 1 water. And this will be Tier 2 water. And Tier 3 water. And then the last one will be Tier 4 water. Okay, cool. And that'll work great. So I'm going to click on all these guys, hit the Q key, just kind of select all of these, and delete by type history, freeze transformations on those. That'll clean those up. And so these are good. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we want the water to spit out. So let's go ahead and start our simulation. We've got everything ready. Now, of course, you're gonna create your own environment. Okay, you're gonna do that yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and just focus on then the simulation, so you guys can get that done. And the rest is just modeling and texturing the way you want it to look. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is go ahead and hold down my space bar and go to Unparticles and go into Legacy Particles. And before I even do this, let me get all this saved. It's a good idea to save scene as. Start simulation. I'm going to do a 0-1 on there. Save in a sequence. That will actually help you in the long run if you save the sequence in a sequence, so you can come back to a place like this where you don't have to remodel anything. You're ready to simulate. So here we go. So in Particles, Legacy Particles, create emitter, and we're going to do the last one we haven't done yet, which is the directional. And everything's good. We'll just go ahead and reset it and create. And I'm sure put it at the bottom. Yep. Well, we're not even at the bottom of the edge here. So let me move everything. Let's go ahead and move that up while it's there. Let's move that up like that. Let's move everything up to the right position. That should be right on the bottom of the grid here. So there we go. And at the top we have a emitter, and that one is called, let's call that water fountain. We're gonna have it come out, so I don't need it down too far. What we want to do is bring it right to the top like that, and let's rename that fountain emitter. There we go. And the particle, That's what that looks like. It's gonna go. What is that? That's not what it's supposed to do. Let's take a look at this. Okay, that's kind of weird. There's the emitter. That's interesting. Oh, changed to an Omni for some reason. That was weird. Could have sworn I did. Okay, there we go. It's working now. For some reason, I must have switched it to Omni at the last minute, but anyway, I can switch it back. So I switch it to directional. Alright, so what we need to do now is get it in the right direction, so we need it to go up instead of over to the right-hand side in the X. So I'm going to change under the emitter, fountain emitter, I renamed it. Emitter type is directional. We're just doing 100 particles per second, and then we're going to do a direction of up, and then the spread, it's going like like a little bullet straight, and I want it to spread out. So let's do that. Let's go in here and set the spread to be 0.15. There we go. I think that works pretty good. Alright. We may want to go even more. Let's go ahead and pull that down inside a little bit farther and see what we got. There we go. That looks a little more natural coming out of there. Looks pretty good. Alright, excellent. So we're getting started here. It's going way too slow, so let's speed that up to something like 10 maybe. There we go, much better. Alright, so I always want my outliner here open. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is make it so we can see them a little bit better. So that's under your particle shape, and right now we have points. Now if you run into issues with things slowing down too much, then use streak. Okay, so you can use streak, but I want you to try to use blobby surface. So hopefully before you do your simulation that you save your scene so you don't have to model again in case things go really bad. So we're going to do blobby surface. That's what I want everybody to do. I'm going to be grading you on that, but I will have an alternative for those of you that just can't get it to work, that you can do the streak. Okay? Alright, cool. So let's go ahead and do blobby surface. And because I want you to learn how to do the blobby surface, it's going to look more like water, and we're going to actually, those of you that want to get extra credit will be able to do a full render with your scene, and you'll have to do a full animation and full render, which could honestly take you a long time to do, but that's why I'm making it extra credit. If you can't get it done, no problem. You just need to render one frame to get full credit. And then if you want to do the full animation, having the water come down, you sure can, and that will be 10 extra credit points. So, but you probably have to let it render a couple days. I don't know if it'll render overnight. I don't know. So radius, let's go ahead and set that up to 0.15. There we go. For now, okay. And I think that's working pretty good. Yeah. So the particles aren't hitting the sides at all, so that's good. Alright, so everything's looking pretty good. We could probably go a little faster with the water. Okay. Let's see what we got after we put gravity on. Okay. So gravity, let's go select the particles then. You can do it whether in the outliner or you can just select it. And one of the things I didn't check, and I don't really think I need to because I usually have everything set up for particles, but I thought maybe we should look. Right, we're working in centimeters. No, I did not scale this. I should have scaled this right. So time slider, play every frame, 24 frames per second times 1. Alright. Let's see if the simulation works okay at the scale. We're not at the right scale. Let me turn on the grid. We're pretty big. The grid is this, each one of these, this is centimeters. So each one of these is a foot, so we're a lot bigger. We'll see how it goes. Let's see if it works okay. I think we'll be alright. Alright, so if we were in feet, that could be a real problem. Alright, so we're going to go in here, and the only thing we're really simulating, we're not doing any other animation in here. So that should be fine too. So let's go ahead and set it all up like we have been doing. Now that we have the spread, we have the speed, we can work on that. Now we're ready to do. Now let me get this back into VFX only. Here we go. Make sure you select the particles and go to gravity. There we go. So now we should have a nice gravity. And it didn't put the gravity on there. What's the gravity setup? Magnitude 9.8. Okay. Well, what the heck? Did I not get those selected? Let's go ahead and select those. We can check it. Go to Windows, Relationship Editors, Dynamic Relationships. Yeah, it's particle, gravity. Okay. Well, that is a weird thing to happen. Usually it pulls it right down. Wow. Okay. Should we try it again? I don't know. Let's look at the outliner again. Particles, that was selected. And the gravity selected to it. Let's do 20 on that. Maybe it's just the speed's going too fast. No, it doesn't even affect the particle. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go in here and delete the gravity. Select the particles. Let's go back to the beginning. And go in here and try it again. So there's gravity into the option box. Let's go ahead and do reset settings. That's what I did wrong. Need to reset settings. I had the direction wrong. It's actually pulling on them. There we go. Fantastic. That's perfect. So it's gonna spread a little bit, and then it's going to hit. Let's see if it's going over the top here. Click on this one. Looks pretty good. Let's see how it's hitting. So I'm going to select the particles, and I'm going to shift select the top. Okay, I'm not selecting anything else but the top. So I'm going to go in here and go to end particles, make collide. Okay, let's take a look and see what happens. There we go. And so our geo connector is kind of whacked out here. We didn't really set it up right. We want the restrictions to be 0, so we want that to slide off. Okay, so it's going to hit that and slide off. There we go. Perfect. Excellent. Good. So the spread is too much spread, because some of the water is coming out over too much. And how do we like the speed? I think the speed's okay. Maybe we could pull the particles down faster. Okay, that might work pretty good. We're going to need a lot more time too. Alright, so let's go ahead and minimize that. And let's set up our scene to be like 1,000 frames. Okay, there we go. So that'll give us plenty of time. And we're going to turn the gravity up on the particles to 12. And we had 9.8 and we're going to do 12 on that. So we're just pulling them down faster. That way they can't escape. Let's do a little bit more. Let's do, let's say 15. Okay. There we go. That's great. And we can probably pump these out even faster. So the emitter speed, we can do something like 15. Now it's going to push them up farther now. Yep. Okay, but we can pull them down faster too with the gravity. So now let's go back to the gravity field and let's do 20. That's going to be great because now we're pulling those down and it's going to be flowing faster, hopefully. And we're just going to do 25 on that. There we go. Excellent. That looks really good. They're floating and rolling off. Kind of pooling right here. Pushing still. We can always play with that a little bit. Alright, so let's pause that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is when we play this, there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the particles, and we're gonna click on this guy right here and do and particles collide, make collide. Alright, let's go back and see how this one reacts. There we go, it gets stuck. So the geoconnector, we need to turn friction down to 0. There we go. I want it to the water particles to float on top, not really bounce. There we go. Now we got a water fountain here. Very cool. So let's go ahead and pause it and go back. And let's select the particles again. Particle. And we're going to shift select the third one. And particles. Make collide. Go to the geoconnector 3. Change that to 0. Just take your time with this. You can see my settings here. I've got that. We've got 2 more. Okay. So I'm going to get them all done here. Particle. And I'm going to shift select the 4th tier. Okay. So we got 1, 2, and 3. Number 4. And then make collide. And this geoconnector here, we need to change that to 0 so it kind of slides off. And then one more. We got one more. Go to particle. And shift select this guy. And we're going to go in here and do one more, make collide. There we go. So now we've got all this working. Okay, so there we go. Slides off. And finally gets down to the bottom. That looks great. Okay. Oh. So that one's sliding. So we got this one, geoconnector, to be 0, and this one needs to slide. There we go, so 0. There we go. Alright, cool. So everything's working really well. Okay, now we need to contain the particles because they're falling out. So, one last one. So we're going to go in here, particle, and we're going to shift select this guy right here. Here we go. And we're going to go in particles, make collide. There we go. Great. So now we got the whole thing working. There we go, and it should stop them. There you go. Great. Alright, so in the next video I'm going to show you how to get them to look good, render, and we need to make sure that we don't let them collect down here, so we need to do a random lifespan. Okay? Alright, so let's go ahead and turn that off. Let's go ahead and save what we have so far, and let's go into number 2. Okay, very happy with that so far, so that's good. And then just kind of fine tune it and tweak it and maybe do a render and see what it looks like, see what the water looks like. And then I need you guys to start creating your entire scenes, and then we'll talk about what you need to turn in. Alright, I'll see you in the next video.